What is up? Got a few minutes here. I've got waiting for a few people to come on. I've got a link I put up in the top right corner for anyone who's interested in following along and wants a copy of a guide that you can complete as we go over this video. Tonight we're going to go over your guide to creating your ultimate success formula for optimizing your health and well-being. We got a cool 7-step process and that we've used to work with a lot of people in health and wellness coaching to kind of reach their health and fitness goals. We know January is just around the corner, and so we want people to start thinking prior to January about what they want to achieve, and how can they start putting the right steps in place so that by the time that date gets here, they're ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to get ready to get started here in just a second. If anybody has any questions along the way, feel free to comment or text in as we get going. But my name is Chris McAbee. I'm the owner of Women's Performance Lab. I've been in the health and wellness field since 2003. Always grew up in athletics and always very active in sports and always wanted to be in health and wellness. And I went to school for exercise sports science and began personal training. And I've spent the last 7.5 years owning Women's Performance Lab, founding that with my wife. But the last 5 years, I've been fortunate enough to be the director of corporate health for Live Oak Bank. And in this kind of corporate wellness and setting and environment, we're very fortunate and blessed to work with people 5 days a week, to see them in the gym. It's one of these things that there's no cost to it for people per se, and it's right there. So it's never going to be any cheaper. It's never going to be easier. We've been able to work with people. And having that close proximity and contact, we've learned a lot of things. And this is kind of, a summation of some of the things that we've learned to help people really, really, really achieve some really, really cool goals. So I'm going to get started with this, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. We'll have a link up here again if you want afterwards to download and follow along with this. You can. So first question I want to ask for you guys is this: how important is your health to you? In a corporate setting and working with clients, what I've come to find out is that when things in life get kind of crazy and hectic, a lot of people will put their health and well-being on the back burner. They'll skip workouts. They'll start making crazy food choices. They'll skimp on sleep. And for me, when we look at all the different domains of wellness, and we've got, the physical body, obviously, but then, we have social domain, we have emotional, we have our intellectual, kind of our growth, environmental, financial, occupational, spiritual. We have all these different domains that people have to prioritize. But at the heart of that, I would say, it's your physical domain. Like, if you don't have your health, you don't have your well-being, you're not optimally working, both cognitively, physically, like, you don't have as much to give in every other domain of life. You don't have as much energy to go home at the end of the day to spend with your loved ones and your family, or in your social domain. Cognitively, you're not as sharp, you're not as fresh, right? You won't thrive in that intellectual domain going through there. You may make poor decisions that may impact you financially in other areas. So for me, I always want to think of people's health and well-being. It's the center of the cog, center of the wheel, and that everything else operates from that. And that the stronger and the better you are there, and the more time you invest there, the better off every other domain will be. And so I want to try to change people's mindsets and the importance of that, because usually that's the first thing that goes when life gets crazy. And we want it to be the thing that no matter what, that's what you invest and you put time and effort and energy into, because it will enhance every other domain of life. So along with that, we want to get in and talk about the number one step. So when people come in and they want to achieve a weight loss goal or anything like that, get healthy, January around the corner, New Year's resolutions, a lot of times they're not super specific about what they want. They come, I want to lose weight. I want to get in better shape. I want to tone up. Those are things that we hear routinely. And at the end of the day, that doesn't set a really good, clear target. And so what I like to do with this is think of this like, man, if we gave you a compass and we pointed you in the direction of true north, would you feel pretty confident you're heading in the right direction? It's just a matter of getting goals. And so in health and wellness, we've used to great success what we call wellness visions. And what that simply is, right, it's like a 90,000 foot view. And that if you were to stop and take a few minutes to picture what would your perfect life look like 3 years from now, right? Let's just say even a year from now. Exactly what would you be doing with your life? Where would you work? Who would you spend time with? How often would you work out? What would your diet, your nutrition look like? How about social life, career, education? Right? Do you have goals? Do you have things you want to accomplish from there? Like if you really took the time to draw it out, you can have anything. Time, money, nothing was an obstacle for you. You could do and achieve anything. What would your perfect life look like? And if you take the time to build this out and take some time to connect with that, right, you start to identify, like, where are you heading? You got some solid roadmaps along the way of things that, hey, I would need to achieve in order to be there. And I want you guys to start thinking about this. If you took a few minutes and you follow along with our guides, literally stop right now during this, tell us, or write down, what would your perfect life look like a year from right now? And then I want you to, once you've done that, I want you to place it in places that where you're going to run into it. You're going to see it multiple times. We want it to stay fresh in your brain and your mind. We want you to see it, pass it all the time. But just having the vision isn't enough. We've got to go a step different or a step further. And I want to gain more clarity from that. So here's an example, right? And I'm going to give you an example of an actual wellness vision, the one that we hear all the time. So when typically someone comes in and says, they have a long-term goal of vision, it's like, I want to lose weight and I want to feel better. Again, there's no real specifics there. So we want to use SMART goals: specific, measurable, action-based, realistic, and has a time domain. So here's a better example of one. So in my perfect wellness, I'll be exercising 5 days a week for at least an hour. I'll be 15 pounds lighter, and I'll fit back into my jeans that I wore prior to having children. I'll spend more time with my friends and family by designating 2 nights a week for family time, or we'll do dinners and invite people over. I will cook out, or I will cook my meals, my dinner, and prep for the week every day on a Sunday. And I'll be volunteering once a month, right? Those are really pretty specific, measurable objectives. Did you do it? Did you not? It's a yes or no, and it's easy to keep score and keep track of. So that's like more of a detailed and refined wellness vision, an example of one. So once you've done that, the second step of this, right, that we're going to talk about in our success forum for you guys, you've got your wellness vision. You know what you want to create. If you had your perfect life, you could achieve anything. Well, the next step is you got to get focused. And to help you with this, I want to tell a little bit of a story. And I don't want to go into too long, but if you guys ever gone to the circus, if you ever watched like the Lions, right, and the Lion team, or those guys in there, the guy's in there and he's got a chair and he's got a whip and he's got this lion off in the corner, right? And everybody in the circus thinks and imagines and assumes that it's the whip that this handler's got that's driving that's keeping the lion away and keeping him at bay. But in reality, what's stopping the lion is actually the chair. Because when you turn a chair and you put all 4 legs of the chair directly in the face of a lion, it doesn't know which leg to reach out and to strike and reach out. And it sits there snarling, growling. And the king of the jungle is subdued by a single chair. It's too many things to focus on. So a lot of times when the message we're trying to get is when you guys create these wellness visions, there's so many things you want to change. There's so many steps to take. And that by having that many steps and things along the way, it deters you from actually making action on any of them. You do 1 or 2 little small things in 30 areas, and you never make any solid progress towards your ultimate goal. So what we want to do to kind of work around that is, hey, you've got your great big wellness vision. But from there, like, how can you break it down into smaller bite-sized pieces? So what we do is we work with the people. So you got your year-long plan. All right, I'm going to lose 50 pounds by January of 2019. All right, well, along the way, let's break that down into smaller subsets. And we're going to go 3-month goals. So in the next 3 months, right, what are the primary things that need to happen in order to make that a reality? By bringing this down to these bite-sized chunks, right, you could test along the way. Am I making progress? Am I being successful? Is what I'm doing helping me achieve my goal? Do I need to do a course correction? And this is valuable information and feedback for you. So what I want you to do is, on the wellness vision that you created, I want you to go through on that. And what could it be if you broke it down into 3 months, like a smaller subsection? Like what's the 2, maybe 3 things there you want to focus in on and you want to highlight? What are going to be the priorities to you? And then look for ways you can achieve these goals. Like, what will be the steps? All right, can you be specific, measurable with this? Can it be action-based, realistic, and time-based? If you do these things, this will help you so much in actually achieving your goal. And from there, you've got your 3-month goal now. You know exactly in more of a short-term view, what do you want to do? So example, hey, I want to lose 50 pounds. So if I broke that down into a 3-month goal, well, I know I'm going to have to lose 12.5 pounds every 3 months. So every month I need to lose about a pound. Or I'm sorry, every month I need to lose about 3 pounds, maybe 3.5. So that's pretty realistic, right? So it's a pound a week for most people. Like if you know that and you know that's a 3-month goal, like it's a pretty measurable deal. Every time you go to get on the scale, did you achieve it or did you not? And so from there, if you to help you with that, so I want to exercise 5 days a week for an hour. Can you book it into your schedule? Can you put that in on a calendar somewhere? Find someone to help hold you accountable. Make sure you actually achieve that. And if so, you're making steps and you have feedback to tell, are you actually achieving the outcomes that you set off to do? So once you have that, right, the next thing I want you guys to think about, step 3, is what's really motivating you. What's your big driving, motivating factor, the big push behind that's causing you to start this? And we like to go with a process like the 5 circles of why. And so someone tells me that, hey, I want to lose weight. Well, just wanting to lose weight isn't probably going to be a deep enough motivator when, hey, you've had a really stressful day at work, you've got a ton of deadlines, maybe you came home and had a fight with your significant other, and you think you're not going to go jump into the sleeve of Oreos sitting in your pantry. There's got to be something deeper holding you. So if you really take a few minutes and you dive deep and you say, all right, so realistically, and this is stories that I'll hear all the time. I've got a lady that comes to me and says, I really want to lose weight. And I ask her, say, hey, so how will your life be different, if you lost 20 pounds? She's, I'll have more confidence and more energy. I'll feel better. I was like, well, what would that do for you in your life? And we went through the 5 circles why. And at the end of it, she got down to it and she says, listen, my relationship with my significant other is not what it needs to be. We don't spend a lot of time together. We don't have a really connection. He just doesn't seem to be interested in me. I seem to be more of an annoyance to him. And I feel like if I get back in really, really good shape and I lose the weight, that we can re-spark and rekindle a connection. Well, hey, but maybe that's not the right motivator, but man, that's powerful though. Like how much more likely is it this person is to actually follow through on the steps and the action plan they took? And so these are the things, like if you find that deep motivator, right, man, you're going to have tough times. You're going to have nights where the last thing you want to do is go to the gym. You're going to have days when you get home from work, the first thing you want to do is you want to open up a bottle of wine and you want to just dive face first into a piece of chocolate. Well, hey, it's going to happen. We all have these days. But if I have that deeper motivating, I can refrain any temporary temptation for my longer-term goal and objective. So I want you all to really take some time and sit down and think about, like, man, what's really driving you? What is it that's going to be the thing to help hold you accountable? When everything else is going wrong, you can lean back on that and say, man, this is more important to me than something else's temporary benefit or satisfaction. The 4th step we want to talk about is, hey, you got to take some action. So I'm going to give you a little parable in here. There's 3 frogs sitting on the side of a river. 2 of them decide to jump in. How many are left on the riverbank? I got a couple people in. But more of that story, when you think about it, hey, 2 of them decided to jump in, but they didn't actually take any action. A lot of us, we start in January, I'm deciding I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to work out, right? But do you take action? Do you set some things up? Do you schedule and buy personal training sessions, book in, have someone hold you accountable, right? Do you go to the grocery store, you buy meal preps, you have recipes, you have guides, things, people to help you be successful with that? Or do you just decide, hey, this would be good to do? I want you guys, if you're going to commit to something in January and you really want to be at your healthiest and best self, I want you to fully commit to it. Once you pinpoint what it is, let's start putting some things in action. And the easiest way for you guys to do that is break this down into small bite-sized pieces. So what can you do that are behavior-based goals that you know will set you up for success? So if these are things that are your SMART goals, you're going to start small. So maybe it's going to be, hey, instead of maybe working out an hour a day is too daunting for you. But hey, could you say I'm going to work out 10 minutes a day? Is that something you can mark and check off of? And every day you may get out there and get 10 minutes into it and say, man, this feels great. I'm going to go for another 20 minutes. And if you did that day after day after day and week after week, you added 5 minutes, where would you be a year from now? Like these are the things we want to do. Like sometimes people call it micro habits. But for us, we want to be able to find the key things that we're going to do, start small, build upon it, build some momentum. And so here's some common examples outside of the workouts is, I'm going to eat better, right? I'm going to go to the gym this week. I'm going to prepare to exercise. So what's a better way to look at some of those things? So some smart behaviors, right? I'm going to go to the YMCA or the gym this week on Monday and Wednesday for 30 minutes. I'm going to run on the treadmill for 15 minutes. I'm going to do 15 minutes of resistance training. That's a pretty specific plan. Did you do it? Yes or no? Check off the box. Instead of I'm going to go prepare to exercise, I'm going to go to the mall today and I'm going to buy 2 workout outfits and a brand new pair of shoes. Well, man, that's preparing. You got your stuff. You're set up. You're ready to go. That's a totally different deal than say, hey, Monday, I think I'm gonna go try to possibly go get started working out. And then I'm going to eat better. Instead of that, say, hey, I'm going to eat a salad with chicken on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for lunch, and I'm going to put the dressing on the side. That's a pretty big step. If you eat fast food those same days and you decide I'm going to do a grilled chicken salad and you put that in play and you have that in, that's a pretty big step. So those are things that are little simple examples of this, but small behaviors drive big outcomes. Step 5, we get into this, is you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That anytime you guys make a small change, there's going to be a little bit of discomfort. Like if you go to eat healthy, you guys know that any of y'all have done it. The first week or so, man, it could be tough. First couple of weeks until you get into your new routine, it could be tough. See my girl Leanne on here, like, hey, you get back into the swing of working out. It's been a few months since you've worked out. You get back in. What's the first couple of weeks feel like? Your legs and getting up and down from the toilet and some other things, maybe a problem, maybe a struggle. But after you get through the first few weeks, you build some momentum. Then what happens? Man, you start to feel good. You get done with workouts. Man, it's not the same struggle it was when you first got started. And that's a big piece of this, that anytime you go to do something, the first time you do it, it's not going to be easy. You're not going to be a master at it. You're going to maybe try and fail a few times. And that's okay. Something like, it's called like grit. And it reminds me, one of my favorite poems is a poem called Good Timber by Douglas Malloch. And it kind of, I think, highlights this for a lot of people. And so the poem and a line of it goes something like this, good, Leanne, I hear you on there. All right. I appreciate the comment. But the point I'm saying, it goes like this. It says, good timber does not grow with ease. The stronger the wind, the stronger the trees. The further the sky, the greater the length. The more the storm, the more the strength. By sun and cold, by rain and snow, and trees and men, good timbers grow. And essentially, it's like this, the harder the struggle, the bigger the obstacle to overcome. When you actually do overcome it, man, your life is better because of it. And those are things that when you try to get into some of these things, like if you got 50 pounds to lose, instead of worrying and focusing so much on the 50 pounds, work on the process. What are the steps? What are the struggles? What are the things you need to master in order to make that happen? And understanding that, it won't always be easy. And that if you can apply some dedicated focus on it and mastering these things, man, when you get to that point, it's something that's not like, hey, I'm going to put the weight back on. It's going to be like, man, I lost the weight and I'm keeping it off. I've mastered these things. So knowing that that life's going to present challenges for you and that in the process of losing weight, what are you prepared to go through? So a couple examples of this is if your goal is to lose weight, there'll be times you fail to prep a healthy dinner. Do you have an emergency plan to fall back on? Do you have something set to do? Hey, I'm going to go to Whole Foods. If I forgot, I could pick up a rotisserie chicken and some healthy sides. If you're going back to school and you're raising a family and you're working full time, and hell, you may come down with the flu and the boss may ask you to work late. Man, that's going to be tough. There's going to be times do you have anything set up for that? To help you stay on track with your health and wellness goals? Or is that just oh man, life got tough, I got off plan. And a month later, 2 months later, you're waiting to get back in and start things. I want you guys to think about, get comfortable being uncomfortable. No matter what happens in your life, if you got fallback plans and you got some resolve and resolution, you're I expect this to be difficult, but I expect to overcome it, then you can get through anything. And that's a mindset piece that we want you guys to have. So get comfortable being uncomfortable. Know it won't be easy, but be willing to put in the time and the effort and know that you'll overcome. Step 6 for y'all. This one's tough. But you got to get your average up. And there's a couple things in business, and they say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And my guy Tony Robbins, I love him to death. One of his primary things is that the quality of one's life is a direct reflection of the expectations of your peer group. And so who you spend time with directly impacts who you are and what you become and what you achieve in life. And so for me, when I think about this, it's who do you spend time with? If you're trying to lose weight and you're hanging out with the people who can't wait to go to happy hour, who want to go out to the restaurants and throw back 4 or 5 glasses of wine, 4 or 5 nights a week, want to go out and invite you over for burgers, pizzas, fries, you name it. If that's your peer group, that's who you spend a lot of time with, then guess what? Losing weight's going to be tough, right? You want to make money. You want to be successful in business. Do you want to go hang out with the people, man, living paycheck to paycheck and can't wait till Friday they get their paycheck and then go to the bar, whatever it is, and they're going to go spend, they're going to go party? Or do you want to hang out with the people, man, who are like, man, like these guys are making all kinds of money. They got 4 or 5 different business ventures they're into. Like, I want to learn from them. Like, in life, like who you associate with directly impacts what you become and what you achieve. And so for you guys that are wanting to lose weight, like I suggest, find somebody who's operating life at a higher level than you, who's mastered some of these things. Spend time with them. Ask them how they did it. Like, what are the steps? What did they learn? What can they share with you? And it will dramatically increase your learning curve, or decrease your learning curve and increase your results. We all can have people and coaches in our life, or people that we spend time with, that can make our path to what we're trying to achieve so much easier to do. They've done it already. And so if we could follow them, that helps. But man, making some of these decisions are tough. You may have some people in your life and relationships that aren't really serving you, they aren't really helping you, that maybe are actually taking you away from your goals and what you want to achieve in life. And changing that, man, that's not something that's easy. But if it means enough to you, then hey, you're going to have to. And here's some examples. Like another one, like if you want a great marriage, yet all of your friends have lousy marriages, and every time you get together, all they do is complain about how much they hate their wife or significant other or husband. Then it's going to be tough for you to have a great marriage. And so it's just another example of you guys. I want you to really, really, really be conscious of who you spend time and energy with. And find people, again, operate at a higher level, the things you want to achieve than where you are. And a rising tide lifts all ships. All right, you will get better by hanging out and spending time with those successful people. The next step for this is this, and it's the last step in this before we wrap this up. But number 7 is like, how do you celebrate? And you have to make sure you celebrate your successes along the way. And that, hey, you're going to have hardships, you're going to have times, and occasionally you need to reward yourself, because if you think you're just going to just gut it out and just through misery all the time, then you're probably not being realistic with yourself. And so when you have successes, how do you celebrate? And this is the part I want to work with people on is that, man, when in health and wellness you're reaching goals there, like when you go to sit down and celebrate, like a lot of people, like they want to go celebrate and it's a cheat meal, it's something unhealthy. Like, is there better ways to go about it? Hey, you lost 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds. Rather than going out for a night with drinks and dessert and all that, like, what if you say, hey, I want to go buy a few new workout outfits. I feel great. I've lost this weight. I want to grab some clothes that show off my progress, and I feel really, really good about. What if, hey, you got your best girlfriends together. You went and did a spa day or something like that, and you went to relax and reward yourself that way. It's like, hey, man, I've been working really, really hard. Been hitting the gym consistently. Been watching what I ate. So today I'm going to take a me day and I'm going to invest in myself, my mental well-being, or something. Like, you need to set up things that are pleasurable for you, but that still support you in your health and wellness goals. Too often for us, when we celebrate, we look at our success as an end destination. And, hey, I lost the 15 or 20 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever it is. It's time to go celebrate. And we go right back into the old habits and lifestyles that got us into the bad situation to begin with. And it's not long, 3 months later, where, man, the weight we lost, we put it back on. So I don't want you guys to think about like success as like a final destination. I want you guys to think about what you can do along the way, master the steps in the process, celebrate those successes in healthy ways that support you in your endeavors, and keep you motivated to keep pushing through. So with that, that's our 7-step process, and I want to go back over it with you guys because, again, step 1 is you got to get some direction. Create that wellness vision, create that plan. Step 2, from there, once you do it, get focused, bite it down into smaller pieces that you can actually work on. Step 3, find your deep motivating kind of drive, or what's really important to you. When you get done with that and you find the deep motivating, you got to actually take some action. You got to actually then, man, start putting these new habits and steps in play. Step 5 is you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Change is going to be tough, and the first couple of times you do something, it's going to be hard, and that's okay. Expect that, but expect it will pass. You will get through it, and you will overcome. Step 6, again, get your average up. Hang out with better people and people that are serving you. And step 7 is find healthy ways to support and celebrate to positively reinforce these changes. And I know going through this, a lot of you guys look at these things as long-term goals, and it all seems really, really hard. It seems tough. It may seem impossible. But the math I want you guys to think, you guys all have the ability. If you have the right strategies and you take consistent action, you'll get your results, like without doubt. And if you don't have the strategies, then, hey, work with somebody who does. who can speed up your process, that can help you along the way. And so from that, we've got a guide and some things up here, but if you guys need help with any of this, particularly as we start getting in closer to the holiday seasons in January, guys, reach out to us. We're here to help. Anything we can do with you guys to help you guys along the way to make you successful and reach your goals, we're there for you. And along with that, guys, make sure you take some time, download this guide, and spend some time working through these steps for yourself and along the process. Fill this out. What does it mean to you? What are the things that you need to do in order to be successful long term? So I'm going to wrap up tonight's presentation. We're at about 26 minutes in. I got a few people in. I want to write a little note over here to Miss Leanne.